The referendum that will take place on the 23rd of June marks one of the most historic days in the history of the United Kingdom since 1973 and possibly since the end of the Second World War. And at stake, and for the UK population to decide, is how they see their future in terms of the membership of the European Union. The debate is beginning to really intensify in the United Kingdom, and it is important to understand that the impact of the UK leaving is different in different parts of the UK. So I come from Northern Ireland, where I work and where I live, and for Northern Ireland in particular, all the regions of the UK, it offers very different set of circumstances. Northern Ireland is the only part of the UK that has a land border with another member state, another EU member state, which is the Republic of Ireland. That land border is 300 miles long. People cross that on a daily basis. Goods cross that on a daily basis. Much of Northern Ireland's trade goes from Northern Ireland into the Republic, nearly 40%. So it's hugely important. It's also symbolically important, and also emotionally, because if the United Kingdom were to leave the European Union, then in theory, customs posts re-emerge along the border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Some people might say that might be good in terms of controlling migration. So, for example, the United Kingdom Independence Party, UKIP, argue that. But many others say that no, that's not a good thing because emotionally that divides the island. And some parties like Sinn Féin would talk about repartition. So the island is repartitioning. That makes it harder for people to cross those borders. Do they need passports again? But it also takes goods longer to cross. So a huge issue for Northern Ireland of the UK leaving. And the other issue for Northern Ireland that's crucially important, that doesn't really impact in other parts of the UK, is funding. Northern Ireland receives substantial funding from the European Union, particularly in the area of the Common Agricultural Policy. We have a much bigger farming sector in terms of population, in terms of overall wealth to the Northern Ireland economy than in England. And some 82% of all these farmers depend on their income on the Common Agricultural Policy. So big issue, if the UK leaves, what happens to the Common Agricultural Policy? Northern Ireland also still receives substantial funds from the structural funds in terms of road building, bridge building, infrastructure projects, particularly across the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So hugely important for Northern Ireland. And the referendum. The referendum also poses political questions because if the UK as a single constituency was to vote to leave, but both Scotland and Northern Ireland were to vote to stay, and if Scotland then moved towards our second referendum on independence, and it's a big if, Scotland won, then the issue for Northern Ireland would be, should we have a border poll for Northern Ireland to unite back with the rest of Ireland and have a single island in terms of a political structure? That will be welcomed by some, but for others that would be a real concern. So we could actually end up creating further division between two main communities in Northern Ireland.